Hello and welcome, week 13 of the Sunday Sweats edition. Myself, and that's not Sam Wagman. That's someone else who's very, very sharp. My guy, Alec Bluestein. What's going on, Alec? Are you excited? This is your first hosting gig. So, again, I think it's okay. A little nerves, a little excitement, but I've been working with you for quite a while, man. You're sharp as a tack. It's great to have you hosting the show today with me.
Appreciate it, Josh. Great to see you. Yeah, I've been here. You might have seen me a few times here. I've been in the background doing some production, but very excited to be here and break down the week 13 slate with you.
Yeah, so a lot to get into today, Alec. Obviously, we're going to go through all the games. Of course, first thing you got to do when you join this Sunday live stream is right up above me. QR code right there. Just take your phone, boom, scan it, download the Rhythm app to me. Addy, let's go, Addy. Addy's always bright and early, the first one in the live stream, so he's one of our power users. But, yeah, download the Rhythm app, of course, and really you can play along. The whole point of this, live stream is to introduce people to Rhythm who don't know about Rhythm, and then also people who have Rhythm, help them use it to their advantage in the best way that they can. And what I love about Rhythm, Alec, is that it allows you to kind of approach betting in a variety of different ways. So I've talked about it a lot before. If you've heard me say it before, basically I use Rhythm as a cherry on top. I'm looking at a market-based approach. My niche in the sports betting world is I'm a data-driven bettor. So I'm going to go where the money's flowing, where the line's moving, where my system matches are aligned. Bernie Lucas, Bernie, my guy. Bernie's my uncle in upstate New York. How you doing, Bernie? But yeah, I think the great point with Rhythm is that it takes away your bias. So I think the one thing you got to remember when you're betting on sports, don't bet with your bias, your gut instinct. You may win a couple bets early because of that, but over the long haul, betting based on emotion is a losing endeavor. You want to bet based on what the numbers are telling you, because there's an old phrase, Alec, wise guys bet numbers, not teams. I completely agree with that. It's not always about who you think or want or hope will happen, but it's where the market is telling you where the smart money's at, where the odds makers have liability. And the great part of Rhythm is you take away your bias and your gut instinct. Rhythm is going to spit out to us for basically all the major sports. Today's an NFL live stream, but Rhythm's got college hoops that's live right now, NBA, college football, and WNBA we've had, all the different sports. But the beauty of it is, hey, it's going to spit out to you based on the AI model and algorithms and formulas what the spread should be. So you're almost acting as your own wise guy or professional bettor or wise gal. Everyone's welcome here on the pod. So it'll say maybe, hey, this line should be 5.1. In the betting market in Vegas, this team is getting 6.5. Boom. Rhythm is telling you, hey, there's value on that dog, or vice versa. The line should be 5.1. Maybe the favorite is minus 3.5. Therefore, there's value on the favorite. So again, use Rhythm however you'd like. You can, I'm not going to say blindly because I think that's kind of a wrong term, but you can just play the top system matches. And Alec, I'm going to lean on you today because you know a lot of the back end of interpreting, like, green stars versus caution flags, because there's kind of room for interpretation. But you can play your system matches, your prop bets, or you can kind of pick and choose and layer them on to your own handicap, which is what I like to do. So love everyone following in. Mike B, Al D Green, Benny Saya, welcome aboard, everybody. But let's see. Al Green's got a question. Before we hop in, what's the general sentiment from the books on the NFL this year? Seems like the public has been getting their way most of the year. AE Krypton, what's going on, 36? So Al Green, funny you mentioned this. I'm not having the greatest NFL year. And I think the reason for that is you've seen favorites and overs do extremely well. Like, I can pull it up for you right now. And really, when you're betting NFL, leaning on dogs and unders is pretty much a smart bet long term. But if you look at it right now, dogs in the NFL are 85 and 94 against the spread, 47%. That's not that good because of the juice you're losing. You're actually down. I'll pull it up right here in a second, but you're down 15 units. So if you have taken every dog on the spread, betting $100, you're down $1,500. That is an aberration. Al Green is so right here. Typically, you see it flipped where the favorites are 47% ATS. So it's been a weird year. That tells me that maybe these dogs aren't barking the way they have been historically. Maybe these favorites are just better than the odds makers are giving them credit for. Obviously, you get crazy things, backdoor covers, weird things happen. But that's been a great observation in that comment from Al Green. Yes, dogs have not barked the way they have historically. You can look at the last 10 years or so, dogs are more like 52% ATS. They're 47 this year. And then if you look at the totals, right now unders are 86 and 95, 48%. Pretty much the same as dogs. What does that tell you? It tells you that the public who loves to bet favorites, loves to bet overs, they're having a good year. But here's one thing that I would just kind of bank on a little bit. Not a guarantee. Nothing's locked or a guarantee in betting. But think of it this way. If the overs and the favorites keep winning and covering, then the odds makers are losing money, and they're not in the business of losing money. So what they're going to do is maybe, set these lines a little shaded more toward the favorites, maybe shaded a little bit higher. And I've been waiting for, dogs and unders to roar back here. But I don't know. Sometimes there's years where just all year it's just a favorite in an over year. Sometimes it happens. But I think it's been a weird year. I don't know the exact reason for it. But I know that the odds makers are the smartest people in the world. And if they keep losing on public drunk guys at the bar saying parlay the favorite, parlay the over, that's not going to last too long. So I'm hoping that, week 13 through the rest of the year, we see these dogs and these unders come back into play. But before we get started, Alec, I just wanted you to have the floor, man. Introduce yourself to everyone watching. What do you do at Rhythm? What are you excited to talk about today? The floor is yours. Let's let people know who you are.
Yeah, for sure. Appreciate it, Josh. Real quick, I just wanted to touch on that. You know what the crazy thing about that is? The underdogs had the best start since 30, 40 years to start the year. They were in 5 weeks of the NFL season. Underdogs were 6 points or more, were 16-2-2 against the spread. And it was just the dogs were barking early in the season, and it just flipped so hard. So it's just a crazy contrast there. But yeah, I appreciate it. I'm a marketing specialist for Rhythm, so I help, in many facets here with our product and with Sunday Sweats and, a lot of the other things we have going here at Rhythm. I'm very happy to be a part of the team. When I first heard about Rhythm, I was super excited. At a really high level, what Rhythm is doing is it's taking hours and hours of research for you, and it's compiling it into one easy to understand prediction, which is great. For someone like me who's been a sports fan their whole life, I have a lot of opinions on games. And as you said, betting with your opinions, with your emotions is the wrong way to go. And so that's what's great about Rhythm, using it as a cherry on top, like you said as well. Being able to have my opinions, know what I want to bet before then going into Rhythm and seeing where maybe I'm right or maybe I'm a little far off on something, and being able to adjust my betting strategy based off that is super helpful. So really excited to talk about the slate today. There's a few games that I'm very excited about. So let's get into it.
Yeah, no, I think it's a perfect introduction, Alec. And again, it's kind of the thing where when you first start betting on sports, and I've been in this kind of a while at this point. Like my first job was in 2011 at Sports Insights, and betting wasn't legal yet. And I love betting with my buddies. Just the thrill, the rush of sweating a game, that moment in the game, Alec, where you don't know whether you're going to win or you're going to lose. There's always that you're right on the number, you need to have a big stop, or you need to get a couple points. You're doing the math in your head. I love that. That's my favorite part of sports betting. The tightrope walk that you do when you don't know whether you're going to win or lose. That emotion you feel, and gambling can be obviously an emotional game. There's negative effects of that, of course, but that to me is what got me into sports betting. And then I lost a ton at the beginning, and I said, okay, what do I have to do to increase my win percentage? Because it's fun when you win, but it sucks when you lose, and you lose a lot more than you win when you start. So that's when I learned about data-driven betting. That's when I, met up with James Santor 5 or 6 years ago and introduced me to Rhythm. So I know I'm rambling on here. I just want to let people file into the stream, but I think you made a great point of, again, betting based on what the data is telling you, not what your heart is telling you. Without further ado, Alec, enough of me rambling on. Let's talk some games for today. So, of course, if you guys who are watching or listening, there's a comment section here. If you want to throw in questions about games, we'll get to it all, and we'll go through some games that we have checked off here. First one I want to mention, though, Alec, is a game that you and I were texting about a little bit yesterday, Tennessee-Washington. Now, I'm not going to say this is your favorite game of the day, or maybe people didn't expect us to lead off with this one. But this is one of those games where my model is looking at the market and then hoping that Rhythm is in agreement with me, because it makes me feel more confident if Rhythm is with me. And this is a game where both the market and Rhythm is telling me the Titans in this one. The first thing I noticed when I was looking at this one, Alec, is that public really likes Washington. Now, remember, Washington lost against the Cowboys. They missed the kick at the end, but overall, they've become kind of a public darling with Jaden Daniels, who's been great. And the public is saying Titans stink. Washington's off a bad loss against the Cowboys. So this is a quote unquote get right spot. This is where the Commanders win by 14. But what's the betting market doing? Even though you're getting 70, 80% of bets on the Commanders laying the points here, you've seen this line fall away from Washington toward Tennessee. Now, Washington opened at some shops as high as -7.5. They're all the way down to 6.5. I think the hook is critical here. If you want to play it, you can shop around and still get Titans with the hook 6.5. But some books are down to 6. I see some books even getting down to 5.5. So once I saw that public was Washington, but line was going toward Tennessee, immediately I said, okay, Tennessee is checking off boxes for me, that reverse line move. Other angles that I like with Tennessee here, if you look at road dogs, they've been really good this year, especially if they're getting 4.5 points or more. They're 32-22 against the spread, 59%. They're even better if you're a road dog getting 6 or more. And then, as I mentioned, the cherry on top, I pop open Rhythm. And what do I find? I find 2 models. And what I like about Rhythm is I just give me the Rhythm model, and then let me kind of create my own model. You have the ability to do that when you're a Rhythm user. 2 models I have, Alec. One said Tennessee should be plus 4.9. So this is what I'm talking about. Rhythm says this should be around a 5-point game. You're getting 6.5, 6 in the market. Some value there. I have another angle here that says Tennessee should be only about a 1-point dog. So adding it all up, again, Tennessee, remember they had that big win against the Texans last week. That was kind of surprising. I think it's a good spot to take the points. I'm on Titans 6.5. The market's moving toward Tennessee. The Rhythm model here is telling me to take Tennessee. So I'm taking the points in this one. Alec, any thoughts on this game? I know you got a lot of prop bets here. I got one as well, but any thoughts on Tennessee, Washington?
Yeah, so Tennessee and Washington, this is an interesting one, and I'm surprised that the public is this in on the Commanders. I mean, you look at what they've been doing recently. Of course, they're a public darling, starting off super hot, the Hail Mary. But since that Hail Mary, won a close game against the Giants. I'm a Giants fan, and the Giants stink.
Sorry about that.
The Steelers was a competitive game, but that's an L. Did not look good in that Eagles game. Got a garbage time touchdown to make it an 8-point game at the end. And then that Cowboys game, I mean, they just did everything they could to lose that game. Crazy play at the end, but they did not deserve to be in that game at the end. So they've really been railing here. They've been struggling. And Jaden Daniels, he's probably hurt. I mean, I think those ribs are still hurting him. He does not look the same as he did earlier in the year. So that's an interesting angle for me. And in terms of my Rhythm models, they're all on the Titans as well, +6 and money line too. And when I have 3 Rhythm models that are all on the spread and the money line, that's confidence right there. It gives me a lot of confidence in the play, at least on the spread, right? Maybe a sprinkle on the money line with Rhythm. Rhythm isn't predicting them to necessarily win the game, but it's telling you that there's more value in the money line than Vegas is giving you. So that's why it's recommending to take it. I have 2 Rhythm models that are actually predicting Titans +2.7 and 2.3 points. So they're predicting this to be under a field goal game. You're getting 6 points. I just really like that, and may throw a little bit on the Titans money line too, but really like Titans +6 here, coming off that upset of the Texans last week.
No, I'm right there with you. And again, you mentioned the money line there, which is always a decision you have to make as the bettor. I know a lot of people will say, hey, you have an edge, fire a full unit on the money line. Other people may say, hey, I like them to cover. They may lose. Maybe I put a quarter unit. So that's up to you and your bankroll management, how you want to handle that. Alec, I wanted to ask you about some props here because there was one player that jumped out to me, and that is Tyler Boyd. He has been kind of coming on a little bit. I guess he started slow. He's been getting a lot better recently. His prop in the market right now is only 22.5 receiving yards. And this is the guy veteran guy, smart guy. Remember him all those years with Cincinnati, Burrow and Chase and Higgins, but he was kind of a reliable guy on third down. You need to get, 3rd and 7. He can pick it up for you over in the middle. The last 5 games, he's been getting more production. Now, you look at last week against Houston, 55 yards, 33 against Minnesota. A couple games prior to that, obviously he didn't do much, but against Buffalo, he had 43. And his receptions or predicted reception yards here are 28.2. So usually I try to look for like 10 yards or more. But what I liked about this one is basically what I try to layer in is not just the Rhythm prediction, but also kind of the way the game script may go. Like Tennessee is a dog here, and they're getting 6 points. So if they're going to be down and Will Levis is going to have to throw the ball, again, you're going to have to keep up with Jaden Daniels. You're going to have to maybe be a little bit more offensive. I think he could maybe be a matchup where the defense of Washington keys on, Ridley and some of these other guys and tries to stop Pollard. Is this a guy over the middle with Tyler Boyd who can get you 23 yards? I mean, his targets have really picked up over the last few weeks. 2-3 catches should get you over that number. Rhythm's got a good edge on that one. I'm looking at going Tyler Boyd with that over 22.5.
I like that one as well. Like you said, he's starting to see an uptick more in targets recently. They also, I believe Marshawn Lattimore is making his debut, so maybe more coverage shaded there towards Calvin Ridley. It's also, they're 6-point underdogs, even with rhythm models predicting it to be around a 2.3 point game there. Then it should be close, right? So game script should be in your favor there. Titans should be passing fairly often, so I'm with you on that one as well.
Yeah, and that's something I always love, because if I'm playing a guy to go over his receiving yards, I want you to be losing, because then you got to target the pass. And sometimes you'll see this, like, you take a star wide receiver over, he has a great first half, but then that team's up, 14 points in the fourth quarter. They start to run the ball. He doesn't get targets anymore. That's something I always look towards. So if you're telling me you like a receiver, a pass catcher to go over, I'd prefer that guy to be a dog in the game, because you're going to probably get those garbage yards late. So let's go Titans, baby.
Yeah.
Next one I wanted to mention, I'm a little bit split on, so I'm excited to hear your take. And I think there's an obvious play here, but I'm going to tell you something that makes me a little bit nervous. Josh Gordon, by the way, former NFL wide receiver. He wants to talk Rams Saints. I got an angle on that one too. But Steelers and Bengals. Now, huge AFC North matchup here. Right now, you can get points with Pittsburgh here. You can get a 3. I was even wondering, Alec, if this game would maybe go to 3.5, because I see one book that is -3, -115 towards Cincinnati. And my first thought is, this is a Tomlin as a dog system match. Mike Tomlin as a dog has been incredible with his career with the Steelers. He's 4-0 against the spread this year as a dog. Overall, he's 61-31 ATS, 66% as a dog. There's also a Tomlin angle. Mike Tomlin off a loss, 58% ATS in his career. Russell Wilson as a dog, 67% ATS in his career. And then you also have the Steelers divisional dog, which is something that I always love, because if you're a divisional matchup, built-in familiarity, levels the playing field, benefits that team getting points. My only concern, though, that trips me up, I just felt like I made a decently strong case here to take the Steelers. What I don't love, though, is that if you look in the betting market at DraftKings right now, Steelers are almost getting 60% of bets. So they're a bit of a trendy dog. And this line at some books opened -2.5 Bengals, and now it's up to Bengals -3. So if the odds makers know that divisional dog, Tomlin off a loss, Tomlin as a dog, all these system matches, obviously you're on the Steelers, why isn't it down to 2.5? Why are they still giving you the key number of 3? That worries me a little bit, or at least is something that kind of a caution flag. Now, again, I'm trying to think through how I look at a game. I go to Rhythm, though, and Rhythm is saying take the Steelers. Two models here say that the Steelers should be plus 1.5. The other angle is they should only be plus 0.9. So that's telling you also to take the points in this one. I'll lean with the points, but I'm just a little bit worried that public's taking Steelers. The line's at 3. It's even juiced up toward maybe 3.5. Since he does have a rest advantage, since he's either, let me see, are they coming off a bye?
No, they played the Chargers on Monday last week.
That's right. Good point. So they do have a bit of a rest advantage. Again, gun to the head, I'll take the +3, but I'm just a little concerned that it looks too good to be true, and why are the odds makers still just saying take the 3? But what are your thoughts on this one? Alec here, game bet, player prop, anything that interests you?
Yeah, so I have a couple models on the Steelers as well. And like you said, a lot of system matches. Tomlin's a dog coming off a loss. I think the Steelers were in a tough spot last week, coming off a very emotional, huge divisional win against the Ravens, then going on a short week into an absolute blizzard in Ohio. The Browns fans no one left. They were into that game. They were desperate, even though they're 2-8. I guess they were playing desperate, a must win. Jameis got the boys fired up. So tough spot for the Steelers. I don't really discount them too much for that loss. And they've been really solid. I mean, this defense is great. You know they can beat great teams based off that Ravens win. Always going to be scared betting against Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and that Bengals offense, T. Higgins too. It's a scary offense to be going against, but their defense has been bad. They've just unfortunately found ways to lose games all year. So with my two rhythm models on the Steelers, I like them as well. Like I said, a little bit wary of Burrow and Chase in that offense, of course, but I do like Tomlin, backing Tomlin as a dog here in a divisional game coming off a loss with a rest advantage too. That was on a Thursday. So
yeah. And the other thing is, like, I've done shows with James. James, wherever you are, he's the most interesting man alive. He's off doing something
James?
Fun and cool. But the other thing is, like, I remember there was a game earlier this year where it was a Pittsburgh Tomlin dog, all these system matches I love, and I'm like, it was like a little too stubborn. I want to say James moneylined them, and they won the game outright. I got to double check which game it was. But that's just something that, again, if you want to lay off, there's nothing wrong with laying off if you're not completely sold on it. But just know going into it, hey, these are the reasons why I'm betting something. You mentioned something also that I want to hit on, Alec, before we move on. The total in this game. I kind of like the under here. It opened around 47. It's down to 46. It's fallen a little bit here over the last 24 hours. And if you look at Circa bet splits, which obviously I'm a partner with Rhythm, and I have the All Systems Go pod, but I'm also a sports betting writer and analyst for VSiN.com. And you can get all these bet splits from both DraftKings, and they just added Circa. So I like to compare and contrast DraftKings and Circa bet splits, because my thought process is DraftKings is the big public book. Go to the percentage of bets. That's where the public is. Then if you're looking at where the smart money's at, let's look at these Circa splits, because Circa really prides itself on taking in sharp money, having very high limits, not saying no or limiting wise guys. If you've never been out to Vegas, it's the best sports book in the world. It's like basically Disney World, Stadium Swim, all that. It's incredible out there. But that all being said, there was a bet split on this game that jumped out to me. At Circa, only 53% of bets are taking Steelers-Bengals under, but it's taking into account 89% of money. So only half the tickets, but nearly 90% of money is on that under, and the total fell. Pittsburgh's got a good defense. It's a divisional game. I can't believe it took us a half hour to talk weather, Alec, but this is a bit of a weather game. It's not like snowy or anything, but it's 30 degrees. Winds are about 10 miles per hour. This could be a classic, 20-17 game, 23-20 game, something like that. So the under is a little bit appealing to me. I just wanted to fit that in. But what are your thoughts on that? Or
yeah, we like talking under weather over unders total games on this show, and I like that. It won't take me a lot of convincing to take a Steelers under. That defense is elite, and the offense, even though it's looked a lot better with Russell Wilson, they can struggle at times to move the ball and score. So an under there, especially with the weather I believe it's in Ohio, right? It's in Cincy.
Yep.
Yeah, so it can be really windy there and rough, even though it's no snow or whatever. So I like the under there as well.
Yeah, to me, game day movement is really important. Like, obviously, I'm the kind of guy who likes to track it all week long, because you got to think through the book. They're going to put the number out there. It's a low bet, limited number. Then it gets molded throughout the week by money coming in, injury reports, stuff like that. Then when you get to game day, those game day moves are huge to me, because that's when limits are raised the highest. That's when we kind of know the injury reports. And I went to bed last night, and I want to say it was 47.5. Woke up today, it's 46.5. So late movement overnight has gone toward that under. So I think that's a good sign if you want to play the under. Great question here by AE36 Krypton on that subject of Circa splits. If it's a wise guy book, should we not look at it splits that are high on bets and dollars versus low bets dollars that we do with DraftKings? So I was actually just DMing something to someone about this. I like to compare and contrast. So I wouldn't take like one is gospel, the other is gospel, but what I would look at is, hey, if this is like a market movement that aligns with the dollar amount at Circa that is also maybe against the bet percentage at DraftKings. I know this is like super wonky, but just think of it this way. If majority of public bettors bet through DraftKings and a lot of wise guys bet through Circa, then I'm going to put more stock into the money percents at Circa and the bet splits at DraftKings. So again, compare and contrast. But that's just something that I would look toward and maybe suggest. But again, these are new as well, so we got to kind of give it some time and maybe kind of learn how these splits operate. Here's another game I wanted to move on to. Seahawks and the Jets. Alec, this one was on my radar all week, and this is a question of what do you do when the line goes against you late? Seattle Jets. I like Seattle all week. I noticed a good move towards Seattle. A lot of books open Jets -1.5. Then Seattle flipped to as high as -2.5 earlier this week. And I said, ooh, give me Seattle. I like Seattle in this spot. They would be a road favorite, non-conference favorite here, lack of familiarity, benefiting the better team. And again, this is a little bit of my bias seeping in, and I don't want to do that. But Jets are a dumpster fire. I don't really think I'm breaking news there, Alec, but you heard reports of the owner wanting to bench Rodgers. Breece Hall, I don't know if you have an update on him, but I saw he didn't practice. Maybe he is playing now. I think he is active, but injuries, Aaron Rodgers, you're falling out of the playoff. You were never really in it, per se. But I love Seattle, and I moneyline Seattle. And I was like, ooh, I got a pretty good. I think I got him like -130. But here's the thing. All transparency, or all kind of bias aside, the line's coming back to the Jets. The Jets have flipped back now to -1, -1.5. So this tells me there's been a lot of money late coming in on the New York Jets. So what do you do when you bet a game and the line goes away from you? We all want to get CLV. We all want to bet a game at -1 and see them close at -3 and feel good about our bet. What I do is I dance with the one who brung me, Alec. I bet Seattle money line. I look like an idiot right now because the line's going back toward the Jets. But I'm not going to now bet the Jets. I'm not going to buy it out. I'm going to stick with my Seattle bet. If I lose, it's because I bet the game too early in the week and probably made the wrong call. But I'm not going to double down. I'm not going to buy it out. I'm not going to chase. I'm sticking with my bad Seattle play, and I call it bad because the line's flipped now to the Jets. One thing I'm banking on, though, is hopefully Rhythm can save me on this one, Alec. Two models here. One says Seattle should be around a 1-point favorite. The other one says they should be about a half-point favorite. So I'm going to stick with Seattle based on my bet that I already made. I'm going to hope that this Rhythm model comes true for me. But I will fully say if you're playing Seattle or you already bet them, this is a bad sign, the fact that this line is going back toward the Jets. So it's up to you how you want to handle it. I'm dancing with the one who brung me. I'm sticking with Seattle. Alec, I think you may have something to tell me to make me a little more to talk me off the edge as I'm worried about this Jets late movement.
I'm definitely excited to talk about this one. Quick thing about Rhythm. The great thing about Rhythm, right? And like you said, you don't want to have the closing line go against you. You want to have positive CLV. It's a great sign in gambling. It's not black and white though, right? There's lots of times where you'll get positive closing line value and you'll end up losing a bet, and sometimes losing it by a lot, right? So it's not a hard and fast rule, but it's obviously what you look for when placing bets ahead of time. The great thing about Rhythm though is Rhythm is incorporating, right? Part of what's going into these algorithms is the markets, right? Where the money's at, where the lines are moving. Rhythm is incorporating that. So when you have like whenever you're looking at Rhythm, you're getting a real-time update with that, including the line movement. So it's still telling you where the value is even after those line moves. So like for example, I've had this my Rhythm model on the Seahawks all week at -1. And now even after the flip, it's still on a green star on Seahawks +1 and Seahawks money line. So even with the line movement there, it is sort of protecting you, telling you that there still is value there, even though the line's moving against you. So maybe that will make you feel a little bit better there on this one. And this is a big opportunity for me. I've been, ever since Aaron Rodgers, the rumor started and he went to the Jets and he started bringing all of his friends over, I just never thought it would work. And unfortunately, I couldn't have been more right. They are a dumpster fire, like you said. Might be a little bit biased for me here too. Definitely a little bit of bias, but I do not understand how they are favorites in this game, right? I mean, the Seahawks they're not world beaters. Rhythm has them as, what do we got? They're 19th in expected win percentage, right? So, but their defense has been playing better as of late. They've had a couple great defensive performances in their last few games. And I just don't understand how the Jets are favored against anyone. They're a dumpster fire, right? Conflict with their ownership, their players. So I really like the Seahawks here, and I'm glad that Rhythm is backing us up as well.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, and I think you made a really good point about like CLV. Like, sometimes you crush CLV and lose a bet, and you feel like, oh, like that, like I did all I could to win that bet. I bet a -3, they close -6. I should win that game. Sometimes you get beat by the closing line and still win the game. I wouldn't let individual bets kind of like taint CLV or your perception of it. But just think of it this way: if you consistently long term bet better numbers than what it closes at, you're more than likely going to win more bets than you lose. So that's definitely an important factor.
Definitely.
Now, Alec, any props on this game jump out to you? Because one thing I noticed that I like to do is, and I know Rhythm has all these great stats as well, but I like to look at just very, very quickly, very easily, opponent rushing yards per game, opponent passing yards per game. Let me just start off with a basis of, hey, this team is great against the run. And maybe I'll take the running back under. This team is terrible against the pass. Maybe I'll take a pass catcher over. I noticed that with the Jets in Seattle, they've kind of been getting gashed on the ground. They're both around giving up 130 yards per game. That ranks 21st and 22nd in the NFL. Jets in particular, their last three, they've given up like 140 rushing yards per game. Now, I didn't see a ton of Rhythm edges here. Zach Charbonnet, he's predicted 22.3 rushing yards, and his over-under is 14.5. I was thinking about Kenneth Walker. He's projected 56.5, and his over-under is 62.5. But there's a quarterback. This is my way of setting you up to take this one home, Alec. There's a QB in this game who it's a bit of a buy low. He wasn't great last week against Arizona, but he's gone over this number quite a bit this year. Who is that QB, and are you playing him over rushing, Alec?
I think we are, and this is the QB right here. Mr. Geno
Smith,
over 14.5 rushing yards. We were on this last week, I think, and unfortunately, the 1 week out of the last 4, as you can see from our beautiful graph there on the Rhythm prop card, he did not go over the rushing on that in that game. Although, the last 4 has hit over this number. Geno likes to scramble a little bit. And in this game, Seahawks Jets, right? The Jets, I don't know exactly. They do a solid job of. They got Quinn Williams. They have a good defensive line there. Could see the pocket, getting a little messy. Geno stepping up, and he's been hitting this all year. So I like it here too. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I'm with you, and I also love that. I actually, in a way, like that he was so kind of bad, or whatever you want to say, he went under that rushing yard last week, because think of it this way: like if Geno Smith was a guy that you have been playing as a better, the prior month before that, taking his over rushing, you're cashing left and right. You're 4-0. Then he has a game where he doesn't go over, the under hits. Maybe you played the over like we highlighted last week, and you say, damn it, Geno, you cost me money. Like I'm mad at you. I'm nervous about playing you again. You only had 2 yards last week. But I think you want to flip your perception of that. In a way, you actually like it more today, the fact that he only had 2 yards last week, because maybe his over-under is a little bit deflated. Like if he ran for 30 yards last week, are you still getting, what was it, Alec? Was it 14.5?
Yeah, it's 14.5. I think it's actually come down a little bit to 12.5 as well,
yeah.
Which isn't a great sign. But
yeah, not a great sign, but it's still, the point remains that, hey, if he had 30 yards last week, that's not 12.5, 14.5. It's probably 17, 18, something like that. And again, couple scrambles. It is basically a pick'em game. Obviously Jets are -1 right now. It's funny. I just saw them go to -1.5. So somebody likes the Jets today. I don't know. I all the power to you. If you're playing Jets, that's like you got balls of steel if you're playing Jets today.
Yeah.
But yeah, I kind of like the fact that he only had 2 yards last week. Again, buy low opportunity to go over this week.
Yeah. Trust one more. No, trust the process there. Right? Don't let one data point, one game where you lost, and don't let your emotions, drive your decision there and make you fade the next week and just go the opposite. That when you first start betting, if you try doing that, you'll find out you lose quickly, right? Oh, I thought they were going to win. Let me just go the opposite way now because they lost. That's not how to do it. One more note on Geno, right? Rhythm's predicting 21 yards, so almost close to a 10-yard discrepancy there. And he's been averaging over his last 5, 15.6 rushing yards a game. And if you expand that to his last 10, he's averaging 19.4 rushing yards per game. So good chance there. And one last note on this game before we move on. Great news I know you are a believer as well, for us Wong teaser believers. with this Seahawks line move. It opens them up for the long teaser, perfect at +1, +1.5. I locked that in right before we got on this show with the Titans and the Steelers too, two other spreads we liked. And I just wanted to mention quickly that I've been doing this all season with the rhythm teaser strategy. It's been great. Rhythms, you're already getting that data back confidence on spreads, on underdog spreads, and when or a low favorite, right? Like -6 favorite, -7 favorite for long teasers. So getting that data back confidence plus that added value of a teaser has been awesome this year. So excited to see how that one goes today.
Great point by you. Great point with the Wong teaser. I was like, ooh, line's going to Jets. You maybe think, oh, hold your nose, Jets money line, line's going their way. Great point by you to think of it the other way. That opens up that Wong teaser. So your dog 1.5 to 7.5, 2.5 to 8.5, 4.5 to 10.5. Those are kind of the ones you love to play. So awesome point, Alec. Let's keep on cruising. Here's one that let's see. Let me skip this one because I just saw a big line move here on Houston-Jacksonville. Now, this is a game that I'm a little bit worried because I bet the Houston over 9.5 win total going into the year. I think they started like 5-1 or something. I'm like, ooh, that's pretty good. Sam Wagman, what's up, Sam? Charles Boyle is my guy. Yes, Falcons.
Josh, you want a quick note on Sam Wagman after this show?
Yeah, Sam's the man.
He is the man, but he's also going to be live on TikTok after this for breaking down. Ask him, get in there, ask him questions. Going to be a Q&A. So another opportunity to ask any last minute questions. I'm sure he'll be happy to go over fantasy football, start decisions too. Sam loves all things football. So tune in there on our TikTok after this if you want to catch some more insights.
Excellent. Great point. And by the way, I'm not even on TikTok. Alec, you're young 20s. I'm 37 years old. Do I have to join TikTok? I feel like I'm too old. My wife likes it with all the TikToking, but
no,
man,
I'm on like the border of that generation. I never had TikTok. I can't do it. It's too. I say
too
no,
much.
Stay away. Yeah, it will rot your brain.
Except only for seeing Sam break down his
for
download it, watch it, delete it. There you go. Don't let China get all your intel and then be able to target you with selling stuff. But I want to mention this game, Houston-Jacksonville, because this one was a game where as a over 9.5 win total better, I'm like, okay, you let me down last week, Houston. You lost to the Titans as an 8-point favorite. Now we can get one win closer to that over 9.5. I'm getting a little nervous because this line keeps falling toward the Jacksonville Jaguars. We open this game, some shops as high as Houston -6.5. Houston quickly got down to around -5, -4.5. I want to say that was maybe 2 days ago. And now we're seeing it get down to 3.5, and I see some books getting down to 3. So this is pretty huge. And I think part of that move toward Jacksonville was maybe Houston is struggling right now. Maybe they're not as good as we think. Obviously, they started great and they've tailed off. It is a divisional game. You combine that with the fact that Trevor Lawrence looks like he's going to play. And I think part of that like +5.5, 5, 4.5 move was probably Trevor Lawrence. Now that we're seeing it down 3.5, down to 3 at some shops, I don't think that's Trevor Lawrence anymore. I think it might just be smart money saying, even at 3.5, we like the hook here with Jacksonville. So Jacksonville is a team that does have a rest advantage. They are coming off a bye, divisional dog angle here. Dog off a blowout loss is great. I have another system. If you're both off a loss and then you play a divisional game, take the dog. That's 71 and 48 ATS, 60% this year. So I'm thinking it's a Jags play here. If you can still get a 3.5, you're annoyed you couldn't get 4.5. But man, Jacksonville continues to get hit. I've learned over watching line moves in the last couple hours before a game starts that, hey, that late movement is not always going to win, but it wins at a decent rate. Jags look appealing to me, Alec, here. But what's your take on this one? Does it open up Houston at a better number? How do you want to play this? Or do you not want anything to do with Trevor Lawrence and the Jags because oftentimes, they don't come through for you?
Yeah, this is an ugly one. And I backed the Texans a couple times this year, earlier in the year, and they're just not. They're not a very confident. I don't have much confidence backing them anymore at this point. they're in a little bit of a sophomore slump. CJ Stroud is definitely not playing as well this year. I mean, Greg Cosell was talking about it earlier this week that he's just missing the gimme throws for a quarterback. You don't often see that, which is interesting. In terms of my rhythm plays here, I'm a little bit surprised. I only have one model that's giving me a green star on the spread, and that's Texans -3.5. And my other one is Jags money line, actually green star. So a little bit of conflict there. Nothing clear. I agree with you. I'd have to back the Jags here. That line movement isn't that surprising to me. They're coming off the rest. They played, I actually think this was one of our best bets back in, what was that, week 5 or week 4?
Yeah.
Jags at
and they
Texans.
lost, but they covered, right? That was at Houston.
Yeah, it actually, so the line opened, it looks like it closed at 5.5, and the Texans won 24-20. So the Jags covered. But I do remember us being on the Jags there in that one. A little bit of a surprise cover, right? Public was all over the Texans, I think, in that one. So I like the Jags here. I think it's an ugly one. I might stay away, but if I had to lean, it would definitely be Jags.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. And again, maybe you have a in-game opportunity. Different ways to approach it, obviously. Any props on this one, Alec? I didn't really see a ton. I don't love playing, QB overs with their pass catchers when they're coming off injuries. Obviously, CJ Stroud has struggled a bit here. Anything jump out to you? Any Nico Collins or any of these other guys? I really didn't have anything on this one.
Yeah, no props on this one. We can move on.
Nice. Let's see. Eric Frank, Falcons game. You guys love talking Falcons, so let's talk Falcons because I think Charles Boyle was looking at that one too. I like Atlanta here. Now, I'm with you. The first thing that jumped out to me with this one, Eric, is the late game day buyback on Atlanta because you opened this game pretty much Chargers, -1.5. It pretty much sat -1.5 all week. I want to say it may have gotten up to as high as 2.5, like very, very briefly. But this is a game where, on the one hand, doesn't it seem too easy to play Chargers, money line -1.5? Like that line looks so low. And anytime you kind of fall in love with a number and feel like it's too easy, typically it is. Like if it looks too good to be true, oftentimes it is. If you look at the bet splits on this one, you're currently getting Chargers 68% of bets at Circa, Chargers 73% of bets at DraftKings. So public is all over Chargers. But again, you were 2.5. Now you're 1.5. And I see some books, Alec, going down to 1. So late movement is going back toward Atlanta. Atlanta's one of those teams that I just feel like they're completely different home road. Like on the road, I don't know if it was last week or the week before where I played them at Denver, or I played against them at Denver. I'm just like, I don't like dome teams going into the weather, going outdoors. I should have, what I should have done? I should have hammered the Green Bay Packers against Miami. I played the under. It was like the most epic sweat ever, under 47.5. But I'm like, of course Tua in the, South Beach Miami Dolphins are not going to go into Lambeau 20 degrees and win that game. But I kind of flip it the other way. This game isn't in the weather. It's at home. They play very well at home. Dome, weather is not an issue at all. Chargers are a dome team as well. But Atlanta, line coming back. They play well at home. They're also off a blowout loss. I think to your point about bringing up the teaser, if you can get a 1.5 with Atlanta, take them up to 7.5, that'll be my play. I could see the Chargers maybe eking out a very short win. You pretty much need Atlanta to win the game if you're going to take a 1.5. But I think it's a great teaser play. 1.5, 7.5, cover yourself a little bit. I think Atlanta hangs tough in this one. I lean Atlanta for sure, but I like it more in teaser than I do a straight money line or spread.
Yeah, I like that. I like that perspective a lot. Honestly, if it flipped for some reason, you get the Chargers. I just think it's going to be a close game, either side plus 7.5. Although I'm with you. Like I think I lean Chargers here, but I don't know if I bet it. It feels like a stay away from me. My rhythm models agree. They're all caution flag on this. I've been watching the Falcons all year. I was big on Bijan Robinson, took him second in 2 of my fantasy leagues. So I've been watching them a lot. And they're an interesting team, right? Like you said, I think their home road splits is key here. They're a lot better at home in the dome where, Cousins is comfortable and that offense can really get out and move. But yeah, this is an interesting one. Like I like the the Falcons plus 7.5. If you can tease that up with the 1.5, I like the coaching edge and the QB edge for the Chargers. But it's gonna be a tough one. I'm a Michigan guy, so I'm a big Jim Harbaugh fan, so kind of a faux Chargers fan as well, and just got to give a shout out to our boys yesterday. Let's go Blue. That was a huge win. So coming off that, I might have to just stay away and root for the Chargers in this one.
No, I can't believe if you're a Michigan guy, it took you this long to pump your fist here. That was unbelievable. They were a 20-point dog in that one. That's
I think it closed 20.5. I mean,
yeah, unbelievable. And I'm not a huge call for a guy's job or fire him or anything, but Ryan Day, man, it's like you can win all the games you want, but if you can't beat Michigan in a year where they're not that good, that's just a brutal loss.
We've had an awful season, and this just makes it not as good as last year, of course, but it's been an awesome follow up to end the year like this. And you're right with Ryan Day. He also, I think it was after the Indiana game, he was talking some smack in the post game interview, talking about Michigan, saying how excited he was to beat us, and then losing as a 20.5 point favorite. It's not a good look.
Yeah, no, you're totally right. And what a crazy day it was yesterday. I had Texas A&M in the points. They let me down. Not kicking a field goal, can't score 4th and 1. But there were just so many upsets yesterday where when they have the committee there to pick the bracket for the playoff, they're gonna have a lot. People are gonna be annoyed. That's just a craziness there to decide who's gonna make that playoff. So something we'll have to monitor. I wanted to mention two big rest first tired. This just dawned on me in favor of the Falcons. They're coming off a bye. Chargers played Monday night. That's huge. Usually it's a bye versus a team that played short week versus a really rested team. Again, I think that teaser is definitely worth a look in that game with the Falcons. And again, now I'm thinking, hey, maybe they do win this game outright, which not a crazy thing to say if you're only a 1-point dog at home.
Yep.
Keep on cruising because there's a few more here, Alec, I wanted to mention. How about the Panthers game? Panthers are at home against Tampa Bay. I'm going to hold my nose and take Bryce Young in the points here. I like this one for Carolina. Carolina, as bad as they are, they had a 2-game winning streak. They took the Chiefs to the very bitter end there. Probably should have won that game. Now you have a divisional matchup against Tampa Bay. Everyone's playing Tampa Bay. They open, they're coming off. Sorry to bring up your G-men here, but they blew out the G-men. I don't know if that's saying a ton. They're a team that
not saying a ton.
Obviously, yeah, not the Eli Manning G-men and Michael Strahan and all those guys, but Tampa's coming off a blowout win. Everyone's playing Tampa. Tampa opened around -6.5. They're getting upwards of 70-80% of bets, but they're still 6.5. And some books even throughout the week got down to 6. Now there has been buyback on Tampa because Tampa was -6 for, I want to say 2 or 3 days. They did go up to 6.5. So you have seen a little late movement back toward the Bucks here, but I'm going to take the points here with Carolina 6.5. This is a contrarian play. Also a great angle here when you're a dog getting 6.5 or more, Alec. You are 32-19 against the spread, 63% this season. Divisional dog, Carolina with Bryce Young. I'm not going to say he's figured it out, but he got benched. Maybe that was a good thing. He's played better as of late. So I like the points in this one. Now Rhythm is telling me to be a little bit careful because I have 1 mile that says they should be getting 8.2 points. So I don't love that. But from a market perspective, this is a line freeze play to me. Everyone's playing Tampa, but basically opener to current, they're still right where they opened at. So give me the points in this one, and I'll just throw this one at you. Bryce Young, as I mentioned, to go over 204.5 passing yards. It's a pretty low number. Rhythm is predicting 232.1.
Yeah, it's a nice discrepancy right there.
Yeah, that's a really good discrepancy. Today's the day where you got to know the weather for all these games because there's a lot of windy. I don't know if there's any snowy games, but windy, cold. Obviously, the Buffalo game, maybe we'll end on that one. But this is a game where Carolina, weather's pretty good, 50 degrees. It's not windy at all. You're a dog. You got to keep pace. Bryce Young's going to have to throw the ball, I would assume. I like that edge. I'd take that Bryce Young over. But any thoughts on this one from you, Alec?
Not too many here. I was a big Bryce Young stan coming out of Alabama. So kind of excited to see him playing better. I'm hoping he figured it out. Definitely played pretty well in that game against the Chiefs last week. If I had to lean here, 6.5 to me, I look at that and I'm just like, I just say stay away to me on that. The NFC South is those games can be gross sometimes. It's just so hard to figure out. My rhythm models are unclear. Nothing, no green stars on any, so no recommended bets on any of the spreads here. Money line, one on the Bucks, a lot of juice though. So I never throw on a big money line like that. I do like your lean though with the Panthers getting the points at home too. If I had to take something, that's where I'd be, but nothing strong for me on that game.
Nice. And again, totally cool, laying off, not forcing anything.
Yeah.
When I was a new early better, I wanted to bet and a prop on every game, Alec. And then when you have a rough day and you realize you bet too many games, the easiest and best way to protect your bankroll is to bet fewer games. So I try to go into every NFL Sunday with 5 bets, somewhere around there. Some weeks it's 7, some weeks it's 3. But again, protect your bankroll. Don't give away bets just because or possible units only because you want to sweat the game. Only bet these games that you feel like you've made a good case to bet.
Yeah, especially in NFL Sunday too, when you got like 8 games going on at 1 o'clock or whatever. So
exactly, and again, then you got the Thursday night, all these Monday night, all these different ones as well. Let's talk Patriots. I'm a Patriots fan. I am sweating profusely my under 4.5 win total. I'm hoping that they only win one more game this year, but I am kind of impressed and excited about the future with Drake May. Everything else looks terrible, but Drake May might be the guy after we've got pretty much a bunch of tomato cans, Cam Newton and Mac Jones and Zappy and all these guys ever since Brady left. Anyway, I kind of like the Patriots in the points today. Now, this game opened Colts -3 on the road, and everyone's playing the Colts. They want nothing to do with New England. I'm not going to argue with you. They're getting 70% of bets, the Colts on the road -3, but the line's down to 2.5. So why is the line going to the Patriots? Why have we fallen off the key number of 3, even though Colts are a big popular bet? Tells me the Patriots have taken in some money here. Now, I don't think any 3s are available anymore. All these games are pretty much down to 2.5. This is a teaser opportunity. Again, 2.5 up to 8.5. That's that Wong zone we mentioned prior. There's a couple good rhythm edges here. Rhythm says Patriots should be getting +1.5. So again, even if you want the 2.5, the other thing is like Gerard Mayo, I have zero confidence in him. Like he goes for it when he shouldn't. He doesn't go for it when he should. The kickers, I guess Sly's been obviously better than Chad Ryland, even though Chad Ryland's actually had a good year for the Arizona Cardinals. Weather-wise, I can tell you it is really cold. I'm in an outskirt suburban town of Boston. It's like 25 degrees, a little bit windy, 8-mile-per-hour winds. So maybe the 2.5 will come into play here. I think if you're playing, to me, it's New England or nothing, Alec. But again, I'd prefer to tease them up a little bit. Maybe you pair them with Atlanta, taking them up here. A lot of options out there, but I respect this move toward New England. I think the Patriots are taking in some money here. Josen, what's up, Josen? Any thoughts on this one from you, Alec? Do you like the points? Is it a buy low Indy player prop total?
Real quick, you just brought a memory up to me last year, which had a very large effect on the draft from the 2024 draft. Chad Ryland has had a pretty good year, which is surprising because he was awful for the Patriots last year, including missing a 30-yard kick against the Giants it would have gone to overtime, but he handed the Giants the win. I think it might have been like a 25-yard field goal. It was a chip shot, and that had massive implications. Of course, we missed out on the opportunity to draft a quarterback because of that. Getting Drake May would have been awesome because he looks great. So that Chad Ryland just brought that back up. But I do like the Patriots here too, and I actually really love a teaser here. This just screams like 3-point game to me. I mean, the spread's 2.5. Of course, It's not like breaking news or anything. But I do like the Patriots here. I think if I had to, I'm trying to see what does I have on rhythm. Yeah, I don't really have any clear plays from my rhythm models here. But I do like the Patriots from the points. As you said, Gerard Mayo, not a lot of confidence in him. He was such a great vocal leader, inspiring player as a linebacker. So I was expecting bigger things out of him as a coach, but I like the teaser angle there.
Yeah, and the other thing with Mayo is okay, you don't know offense. That's fine. You're not an offensive guy. But you're a linebacker. You were a great linebacker, and yet the Pats passed and rushed. Their defense as a whole has been pretty bad this year. So
yeah,
at least you can't fix the defense. Anyway, it is what it is. I wanted to move on to a game that is very interesting. By the way, Josen was asking Steelers Bengals. Remember, you can always rewatch this stream after if you're interested. We hit on all the games. I think our lean there, Josen, was Steelers in the points. I was a little stubborn because I was a little nervous. Steelers were a little bit public, and the line was going a little bit toward the Bengals. They have a rest advantage, but Tomlin has a dog. All those system matches were on Pittsburgh. So I would lean. I think, Alec, you lean the +3 with Pittsburgh. Let's go to a big game here today, 4:25 p.m. Possible Super Bowl preview. Eagles, Baltimore Ravens here. Now, I think the first thing you notice is Eagles are rolling right now, and they're getting, we're showing 2.5, but you can probably get the +3 right now with the Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles, though, the one thing that worries me a little bit is they are a trendy dog today. They're getting upwards of around 60% of bets. Let's see, at DraftKings, at Circa, they're around 56% of bets. I would put the Eagles in that Mike Tomlin Steelers category of like gun to the head. I'll take the +3, but it worries me a little bit. Baltimore, why is the line stayed basically Ravens 2.5, 3, even though the public is kind of taking the Eagles in this one. So I think Baltimore too. They've been in the spot quite a bit. Short numbers with Lamar, especially at home. They've covered at a pretty good rate here. It is a very high total. That's another thing. Around a total of 50.5, 51. Maybe you get a higher scoring game. Higher scoring games typically benefit short favorites because theoretically more points scored, easier for that short favorite to cover. Now, if you do get down to 2.5 and you want to take the Eagles up to 8.5, that could be a teaser play. I'll lean Philly +3. What do your rhythm models say for this one, Alec? And again, is this a play where, wow, I never get the Ravens -2.5, 3, or is it, hey, you never get Eagles 2.5 or 3, and maybe that's the value play?
Yeah, so this is an interesting one. This is one I was looking forward to discussing with you. My rhythm models really like the Eagles here. They love the birds. I got 2 green stars on the spread.
James is happy to hear that, by the way.
Yeah, James,
wherever he's at.
James and Sam Wagner are definitely happy to hear that. So yeah, I mean, I got a lot of confidence from my rhythm models there in the Eagles. However, what James and Sam and all the Eagle fans won't want to hear is I'm pretty skeptical. There's definitely some bias, to be fair, involved here, but I am skeptical. I look at this win streak they're on, teams they've beaten since losing to the Bucks in a pretty ugly one when people were calling for Sirianni's job, right? I think he might have had the outburst there or something, whatever. But then they're on this 7-game win streak, beating the Browns, the Giants, the Jaguars, the Cowboys, the Commanders. The best team they've beaten the stretch is the Bengals, who have a great offense. But they beat up on a lot of bad to mediocre at best teams, to be pretty fair, aside from the Bengals, who have a great offense but haven't been great. So I have a little bit of skepticism. I'm not a believer in Jalen Hurts when it comes to a close game. Outside of that Super Bowl and that 2022 season, he's been pretty up and down overall. Their offense is kind of limited. He doesn't throw the ball over the middle of the field. Of course, they lean on Saquon heavily. This Ravens defense is not good against the pass, but it's a physical defense, and they play tough. I like the Ravens here in terms of I just think they're going to win 2.5. I would take the 2.5, although there's a lot of bias there. So I might just stay away
It's
from
a hard one. I'm right there with you.
Yeah, I might just stay away from this one because of that. My rhythm models do like the Eagles here, so it's really interesting. I don't what are your thoughts on it?
My thoughts are, again, there's a case to be made for the Eagles because the 2 rhythm models I have, one says Eagles should be favored by 2 to 3 points. So again, you like that if you want to take the points here. I have another model that says it should be a pick'em game. The other thing is when you're a favorite of around 3 points. Now, home field used to always be 3 points. It's a little less since COVID. A lot of stat guys you talk to say it's typically 1.5 or 2 points now. Some stadiums obviously are more or less. But if you're favored by 2.5, 3 at home and you're the home team on a neutral field, that's basically a pick'em game. So odds makers are telling you if this was the Super Bowl, it's basically a pick'em. The one thing that I would mention too is there are games where maybe you have a conflict in terms of, the percentages scare you, or maybe there's a move that, goes against what your initial thought was. It's okay to bypass the side total and look at a player prop. So what I'm going to look at for this game, Alec, is two guys on the Eagles. First one is Saquon Barkley. Obviously, the guy's been incredible. Isn't it funny how guys are always hurt, and then there's years where they're never hurt? Like McCaffrey was always hurt, then he was great last year. Saquon was always hurt. Now it feels like I don't know if it was Joe Buck or one of the Troy Aikman. He was like, man, as the game goes on, he's getting better and stronger, and it's totally true. But this is the one that I sent you that I played over 19.5 receiving yards. He's predicted to have 27.8 receiving yards, so a pretty good cushion of around 7-8 yards there, almost 9. Now, last week against LA, 47, 52. You can see here 40 against Jacksonville. But he's one of those guys where dump off pass, screen pass, yards after the catch. The pass defense has been really bad for the Baltimore Ravens. I want to say they're still dead last in the league. You would think that's more wide receivers. But Saquon is just, a locomotive right now that feels like he's getting better throughout the year. And we've seen this line, again, tick up a little bit in terms of the receiving props. So I like that over 19.5. And then I'll just throw this one at you. I like Kenneth Gainwell. Gainwell's a guy that's been pretty good to me throughout the year. I feel like I've played him a few times, and I feel like he's gone through each time. But his rushing prop, if you look at Kenneth Gainwell, over 12.5 rushing yards, he's projected only 14.5 by Rhythm, which isn't a huge discrepancy. But I think of it this way, Saquon, as great as he is, he can't play every single snap. And if you put in, Kenneth Gainwell, how many snaps will it take him to get you 13 rushing yards? That might be one rush of 13 yards. That might be 2 rushes, 3 rushes. But I like that angle. He's kind of a change of pace. When Saquon needs a blow, you put in Gainwell. And his last game, he had 22 against LA, 43 against Washington, 30 against Dallas, 19 against Cincinnati. He's gone over this number in 4 of his last 5. So can he get you 13 yards on the ground? That's one of those, lesser known players I like to target going over. I look toward Gainwell over 12.5. Anything for you in this one, Alec?
Yeah, we like to look at those backup running backs, the Justice Hills, the Gainwells.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they just need, over 12.5, you just need one run, spell them a couple times, average 4 yards per carry. You're going to get that. Saquon's been absolutely phenomenal. He's electric. So you give him, a dump off, a screen pass, he's going to get that 20 yards and potentially one good play where they get some good blocking. I also just think, given how well he's playing, their focus is just going to be get the ball to Saquon as much as we can, right? I mean, that should be a part of their game plan when they have the spots to attack. So I like that one as well.
Nice. Yeah, that should be a great game just to watch, and look at two good teams going head to head. So that'll be a good one.
We get blessed with Tom Brady again.
No, totally right. Ben Levitt, my guy. Ben's an up and comer, a wheeler and dealer. Maybe more from Ben Levitt in the future months here. John Melandro, Saints in New England seem similar plays today. Books won't move these games to 3 despite large amounts of tickets on the faves. You like the Saints too, Josh? John, I'm right there with you. Yeah, let's hit on this one.
Yeah, we haven't talked.
We've hit on almost every game at this point. But this is a game where I fully admit there are some syndicates, groups that I respect that really like Rams in this one. There were some -3s. There were some money lines. But I would put that New Orleans, this late movement, same as the Patriots, and John, same as the Atlanta Falcons, where the public is heavy on the road favorite because it's a short number and they're quote-unquote the better team, yet the game day movement is coming back toward the contrarian dog. So the Rams opened this one, I think it was -2.5. They got up to 3. They were -3 pretty much all week. But again, game day movement is coming back towards Saints as this line's getting down to 2.5. Now, again, this is what you got to decide is a better. If you have the 3 available, I'll take the Saints +3. If you're down to 2.5, then it becomes a teaser play to me. You take the 2.5 to 8.5. So I think today, long story short, I know we're wrapping up the show, Alec. A lot of great teaser candidates today. But I like the fact that the Saints are really contrarian. No one wants to play them. They're getting 26% of bets at DraftKings, yet that late movement is breaking in their direction. But I do have a quarterback that I like in this one. I sent this one to you yesterday, Alec. I think you might have leaned with me as well. But Derek Carr, Derek Carr over 219.5 passing yards. I mean, he's gone over this number at a pretty consistent rate. 4 of his last 5. He's at home in the dome where he's comfortable. Remember, he had the injury earlier in the year, but he's gone over 4 of 5. He's averaging, around 240 a game. You are a dog against the Rams. Rams, if Nakua and Kupp are scoring and Stafford's slinging it, you got to keep pace and throw the ball as well. Sneaky QB play today for me. I like that Carr over 219.5.
Yes, that's an interesting one. I'll pull it up again. I like it as well. So with Rhythm, you'll see the recommended plays are green stars. And what's interesting here is this one is it's a caution flag, right? So that's not a green star. It's not technically a recommended bet. But basically what that means is, like, as you saw with Josh, the caution flag does not mean to fade it. It doesn't mean take the opposite line. This isn't going to hit. It just means as it is, proceed with caution, right?
Yeah.
Have another reason to bet this if you're looking at it. Don't just do it blind. Don't bet blindly off Rhythm here, because we're not telling you that we're that confident in it. As you said, you have another handicap, another reason why you like this play, and it's that they're dogs. They should be passing a lot. It's in the Superdome, right? In the dome. So yeah, just wanted to clarify that there. That's you can still get value out of those caution flags, right? Looking at the prediction, looking at the trends that we have there to make your decisions.
Yeah, great explainer there, because I get a lot of people asking, like, what's the caution thing, the green thing, what do I do? It basically just means that, hey, the data is really strong on a green dot. Maybe there's some, little angles here and there that make you a little less confident in a caution flag. But again, if you're going to play it, build another reason, a specific, number of variables that you think are also guiding in that direction. And then the other thing with the props too that I would recommend, like if you have time, like let's say the NFL games are all on Sunday. Throughout the week, you're looking at some of these props. You write a few down. Look at how they move late, the same way you would look at late movement on a game bet, a side, a total. So let's say maybe a receiver is at 60.5 on Friday, but by the time you get to Saturday, Sunday, he's at like 61.5.
Yeah.
That tells you, hey, there's late money going over, and you do have a rhythm edge. So kind of think of yourself as, okay, let's see the trend line, the line movement of a prop, and hopefully it's kind of moving in the direction that you previously were leaning. So, I know we're all busy. Maybe you can't track every prop in the line movement, but that is something prior to Rhythm that I would do. Before I had Rhythm at my disposal, I would look at, hey, how is this trending, especially on game day movement, stuff like that. Yeah. So
quick, those prop lines, they move a lot. I think a lot more than game lines too. And I remember this from, I think it was when the Ravens Bengals played the Thursday night game, or I think it was Thursday night. Rhythm was on Jamar Chase's over in yards all week. He hadn't 4 weeks in a row. He had like bad, receiving games. Of course, the Ravens have a bad pass defense, but I think his line, like you said, moved from, I think like 61.5 all the way up to like 68.5 by close or something, from open to close. So that was large movement. Rhythm liked it. And then Jamar Chase, of course, 3 touchdowns, like 240 yards or whatever. So good example there.
Yeah, and good point by you too, because not only do you see big movement on player props, but books can have really different numbers.
Discrepancies,
Yeah, and that's huge because, let's say a guy is, 25.5 receiving yards at ESPN Bet. Caesars may have 26.5. FanDuel may have 27. Maybe Fanatics has 23. Like, you could see routinely at least a 1 yard, 2 yard, 3, 4, 5 yard edge of one book over the other. So make sure you have those multiple outs, shop around, get the best number. There was an example in the Super Bowl. I want to say it was maybe 2 years ago. It was Boston Scott. It was one with the Eagles where I think it was like 7.5 at one book. It was 8.5 at another, and it was like, I want to say maybe like 6.5 at another, and he landed at 7.
So you got the middle. If you middled it,
so you could middle it. One book wins, the other book loses. Again, props to me, the ultimate. You got to shop and get the best number. But Alec, I think we hit on almost everything. Anything you want to add in here? Any last closing thoughts, or should we wrap this up?
No, I don't have, unless we have any comments or anything to touch on. I think we cover a lot. But yeah, I think it was a good show.
Yeah, great show. Of course, we always want to thank you guys for tuning in, taking the time out of your day. I know Sundays are busy. You got a lot of things going on, but the fact that We've kind of created this, hopefully something to look forward to every Sunday. You're having a coffee, you're still in your bathrobe, you're watching Sunday Sweats. I mean, it really means a lot that you guys take the time out of your day, tune in, listen. Hopefully we hit on some winning bets for you. But of course, wrapping it up on behalf of Alec, myself, James Santor, Sam Wagman, Megan, Brian, the whole crew at Rhythm, we are very thankful because it was just Thanksgiving, Alec, for you guys joining the Rhythm team and hopefully using Rhythm to your advantage. Remember, if you haven't downloaded Rhythm yet, it's right there. Scan the QR code. You'll be off and running. And again, it's not just NFL. I'm huge into college hoops right now. You'll get these random, like, UC Davis edge or like Kennesaw State or these little schools. If you're playing college hoops, that Rhythm has projections for you. So take advantage, all different sports. And again, Sunday Sweats you can look forward to each week. But Addie, Justin Patterson, appreciate you guys. You guys are the best. Thanks for tuning in. Tell a friend about Rhythm. Download the app, give it a 5-star review in the App Store, and hopefully we can have a winning Sunday here for today.
Yep, we got you, Justin. Thank you. Thank you for everyone for tuning in. This was a lot of fun. Thank you, Josh. On behalf of the whole Rhythm team, thank you guys for tuning in. We really appreciate it. And then if you want more insights, if you want to just hang out, ask some questions before the game start, head over to our TikTok. Sam Wagman is already live there, I think. So that'll be fun too. Tune in there. But thanks again, guys, and have a good one.
Thanks, guys. Good luck today.